All right. Good afternoon, Joe Rico. Alex Ramirez live from number 38. The final word is here once again. And boy, Alex, it is kind of weird because we are out of sports. We don't count the Rockies as a sport, although we will be talking to Drew Creasman. Good morning, El Guapo. How are you today, buddy?
Good morning, Joey, man. Listen, man, this is beautiful. I love our setup here at number 38. And big shout out to Nate Lundy and everybody, Danny Bailey, our guy, our producer behind the screen, Nick Archuleta. Man, it's weird, man. We're in a weird spot in the broadcasting and sports. It's almost like we're in limbo, but you and I had some more stuff to talk about. Real quick before, Joey, I want to start this. We haven't been on the air for a couple of weeks, right? So I want to ask you about Florida. How was Florida? You were out there for about a week and a half, man. You were out there hanging out with some dolphins and Florida. How'd your family vacation go?
Well, first of all, big shout out, man. Huge shout out to my beautiful wife, Bernadette, my son, Dion. Great travel partners. We did it all, man. We went to Anna Maria Island, which is a beautiful island outside by Bradenton, Florida. It's pretty nice, Alex. It's similar to the Cancun waters, about 82 degrees, coral green. We were at Daytona twice. That's kind of my favorite place. I ate at Joe's Crab Shack.
How was that?
Kind of my gig. I love Joe's Crab Shack. It's my favorite restaurant in the world. Key lime pie, the best. Daytona is still my favorite. Not the prettiest by any means, but the best. And just for a number of reasons. And then, of course, we hit Busch Gardens. And then my favorite, Discovery Cove. We swam with the dolphins. And it was killer, man. Our dolphin.
You know how to swim, Joe?
Yeah, I'm an expert swimmer. I grew up with a pool in my backyard. Yes.
So you didn't drown?
No, man. I'm great. I'm somebody like a lifeguard.
Dion wasn't saving you when you were out.
No. And then we were on the jet skis out there on Anna Maria Island, and the jet skis were insane. I got up to about 73 miles an hour, and then I chickened out. I got pretty scared.
I always look at your vacations like the Griswolds, right?
Yeah,
Griswolds.
It's true.
What does it say every time? It was
Sparky.
Sparky.
Yep. Sparky.
Okay, this is one day. This will be all yours.
Yeah. And Rusty. Oh yeah, Rusty. Yeah. Here's one day, Rusty. That's definitely me and Dion. Hey, and also, while I was gone though, what I could say is we did have some great partnerships that we also just established with our good friends over at Vinola's Italian Market.
Yeah, Jojo.
Yeah, Jojo Pergolo. We'll be out there at camp next week doing some basketball. But, boy, the best Italian market in Wheat Ridge in the Denver metro area. You were out there. You had some food out there as well.
Yeah.
Love that place. And Jojo will be coming in, joining us here in a few weeks. We have our good friend Tim Gelt coming down to join us here in a couple weeks. We've got Reagan, who's a great fighter.
Up-and-coming MMA fighter with Tim Gelt, a great friend with the Denver Nuggets. He used to be Denver Nuggets. And,
media director, vice president of media relations for the Nuggets.
Isn't that weird how we all just keep continuing to establish
that guy.
Relationships? And you know what? One of the things, and I'm going to just reach out and say, once again, I am ecstatic about our relationship with Mile High Sports. We've been here for 13 years, Joey.
Yeah.
And we only get better with not only us, but our leadership with Danny Bailey and our boss, Nate Lundy, who continues to give us these amazing platforms to do what we like to do, Joey, and advertise with companies that we like to advertise. We're Colorado guys. One day someone asked us, hey, do you want to be the next Irvin Joe? And I said, no, we want to be the next Irvin Alex. And Joey and Alex. And I love it, man. And unfortunately, I'll say this one to put a bow on it. We had a great time with the Spartans. Great season. Second year season with the.
Well, can I jump in on this, because let's clarify for those of you who haven't really followed us, you're just watching it for the first time. We have a great relationship with the Colorado Spartans, the new indoor arena football team in the NAL. They were in the playoffs last night. Alex Ramirez, fantastic job as the in-arena announcer at the Coliseum all year long. He had that crowd hyped. If you weren't there, that's okay. We'll be back next year.
Yep.
Nick, wonderful job on the broadcast this year.
You guys
loved watching you and hearing you on the YouTube. The rebroadcasts were great. Your thoughts a little bit. Chime in a little bit on the Spartans. Tough loss last night, but a great first initial year, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it was fun to work with you guys in a different aspect. Joe, watching you grow as a color man was really cool. We both kind of played off each other and learned. We both had to learn a little bit because I was not used to having a secondary with me, whereas you were not used to being the color man.
No.
So, we both had a little bit of a learning curve, but as the season went on and progressed, weekly we got better, and the help of everybody else letting us know this is what we were doing right, what we were doing wrong, and the fact that we could still go back and listen was fantastic.
Well, I'll ask you, Alex, because you listen to the broadcast too. And as I was telling you, I was watching the Renegades game and I was watching their broadcast. And dude, I'm sorry, I'll say it right here. We blew away the Renegades team. I mean, those guys it was like watching Colorado media. I mean, way back in the day, Cafe. Alex did better stuff than that as an intern at Channel 7. Hold
on. I want to
look. I'm just saying, buddy.
I'm not sure if you guys remember.
That's a tough deal. The broadcast.
I remember. I'm not sure if you guys remember. Nick, you obviously and Nick, Joey, you guys in the broadcast last week, but all season long, I've been battling with those referees. You saw that, right? All season long, man. Yeah. And it's the one that has the white cap.
Bruce, we met him. Nick and I met him.
He's the one that controls the entire arena when it comes to like fouls and interceptions and penalties. And Tony Thompson, the owner, and I were just standing there because we were doing like promotion after promotion after promotion. And the referee said, and they gave me my warnings, and I'm not going to say this hasn't happened overnight because they had given me my warnings, but they said, unsportsmanlike conduct on the PA announcer for your Colorado Spartans, Alex Ramirez. If he does this one more time, we're going to impose a 15-yard penalty. And I looked at Tony, and Tony like me, I'm just sitting here with you. I don't know what was going on. I'll never fight against the refs. But, man, it felt like we were fighting up an uphill battle with those guys. Did it not seem that way to you guys at all?
Well, I'll say this. I think the resentment came from the Spartans being a new team that came in and had really good success. The Spartans, it would be fair to say that some of those guys could be considered maybe, confident, like they were cocky maybe a little bit. And, even in the game last night, the Spartans were winning that game going into the fourth quarter. Yeah. The score is no indication of how close of a football game that was.
It was a score.
Yeah. It was just, they fell apart in the fourth quarter. And I talked to Coach Shaw today on the phone for about 10 minutes. Fred won't be with us at 12:30. They're on the bus back.
Why would he want to come on?
No, he wouldn't want to come on. And I'm just saying he's normally on it this time. Either some representative of the Spartans is. That won't be happening. They're on the bus. None of those guys feel good about the loss, but nobody needs to hang their head.
Well,
I told him, man.
One of the things, Joey, and Nick and I were talking about this earlier, one of the greatest strengths that the Spartans had became their weakness last night. Their front defensive line were the ones that were supposed to be the ones that carried us over. And yet we understand that one of the guys, the Marine guy, I forgot his name.
Jack Thompson.
He was out. That was huge.
Excuse me, it's Jack Robinson. Jack Robinson.
One of the things that I mentioned to Nick, I said, remember that old Super Bowl where the New York Giants played the Buffalo Bills, where Whitney Houston sang the national anthem? What was his name? Otis Anderson.
Anderson.
Remember they just kept feeding the ball, That's what they did last night.
He was the MVP of the game.
And Nick said, I was 7 years old, dude. I'm like, I get it. I understand, but that's what it came down to last night.
That Fred Taylor guy, the guy
they just kept running the ball down their throat, and they had to have no answers for those guys last night.
Well, in the arena game, you pass so much, and you prepare for the pass so much that I think the running game is kind of undervalued, much like Alexis Rosario for the Spartans.
Right.
When he starts running the ball and throwing guys off him and running 55-yard touchdowns, that team's a lot harder to stop than if you rely just on Andre Sale. I mean, no matter how good your quarterback is, I found out by being one of the broadcasters on the team, you have to be able to run the ball in the Arena League. In order to win a championship, you got to have that explosive playmaker in the backfield, and Omaha certainly did. Also the quarterback for Omaha was insane last night. I mean, he set like records for the league, and I got to give credit where credit is due. Instead of taking away anything from the Spartans,
I'm not taking anything
I think
away.
that I'm going to give credit to the Omaha Beef because I think that they earned that victory. And if you had to ask the Beef, they were shaking in their boots with 10 minutes to go in that game.
Yeah.
That was a 5-point football game, and the Spartans had the ball.
45.
Yeah, it was 48-43, and the Spartans were moving the football, and then the first of many turnovers, kind of the floodgates open.
The only turnover.
Yeah, the only turnover.
That's what turned it around.
Well, that
one possession
Yeah.
changed the trajectory of this game.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable, Joey, that they were in it for that long. Yeah, and I get it. And a lot of Newbold had a drop pass in the end zone.
But what a catch by Newbold, though, when he hit his face hit
but he
the
also
bar.
dropped one, Joey.
No, I get. I'm just saying he's just on. Just
number
on
11. What was that tall 6'7" guy?
Woodley. Yeah,
Woodley did a lot, man. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, there's nothing to shame your hands about the Spartans. They did a great job.
They did.
They showed out and showed up. And the Colorado Spartans are a team to be reckoned with. Next year, I cannot wait to get started. I already know that they're already selling season tickets for next year. It's going to be an unbelievable season. I just want to say, on behalf of Joe, Rico, and Nick Archuleta, and everybody that we established this relationship, because this was at the old studio too, Nick.
Yeah.
We established a foundation with the Spartans, Joey. Your amazing skills of communication brought these guys to do what we did. We had a coach's Fred Shaw show every week. And you know what? It happens, man. These things happen. Let's move forward. And, congratulations to the Colorado Spartans on a fantastic season. And I'm so proud to be a part of their team.
Yeah, and I think the only thing from Nick and I's perspective is also Doug Sheffield, the producers, all the people on the technical crew, Alex,
Andrew,
all the guys up there who were helping us out during the year. DJ Sin, I mean,
DJ,
she just,
well,
I mean, it was an overall growth. I think when I look at how week
everybody
one looked,
learned, man. Everybody learned.
I think when I looked how week one looked, and now how it looked.
Dance team, I can't forget.
Well,
because she'll kill me.
Yeah. Also, as I was talking to Coach Shaw, there was a great amount of pride in the growth of the team. And just remember, Andre Seld enjoyed the team until after week 3.
Right.
And so, that would have been, I think, a big difference maker. Also, I keep thinking back to that deuce at the end of the game versus the beef, in which caused this game to be played in Omaha rather than in Colorado.
At one point.
These things, this wasn't a team that's that far off from an NAL championship game. No. I can easily see Tony in the lab with Fred and everybody in the organization.
A lot of similarities to the Denver Nuggets, I guess you want to say, Joey. I mean, the OKC team went with they went into the finals with 3 losses.
4, and 3 of them were to the Nuggets.
3 of the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like we're not there. We just got to tweak a couple things. And I know. And again, I'm going to reference what Nick and I were talking about earlier in the game before the show for pregame notes. He said our biggest strength, which we thought was our defensive line, became our biggest weakness at the end. Because these guys were carving out 4 or 5 yards at a time.
Yeah.
If those are happening in an arena game, man, those are huge chunks of yards. But listen, it's okay. Let's move on.
Game over. Let's go to the next topic, man. And the next topic right now is going to be, let's talk a little bit about,
you were out of town. David Edelman.
David Edelman. But first, real quick, man, let me talk about who's coming on the program.
Okay, let's talk about.
At 12:30, we have our good friend, Drew Creasman. He's going to be talking about the Colorado Rockies, which, what's funny, Alex, is, well, I understand, but can I please at least get at least one sentence out here, buddy? Drew's a great guy, but the Colorado Rockies, a team that, you love to bash, everybody loves to bash. Well, they finally pushed the panic button. I mean, the Colorado Rockies are on a historical pace of bad, and just when they sweep the Marlins and you think maybe there's some hope, they come out and lose their next 4 ball games. And last night was just not competitive. It was an 8-1 loss. The New York Mets look like a team that could be very good this year. 8-1. Yeah. And look, man, that's an average score right now. I mean, the Colorado Rockies I can't even say they're quadruple A right now. That was my joke. They were a 4A team. I can't even give them that. I think they're a AAA baseball team playing in the major leagues, and the record indicates that. 12-52 that's not bad, Alex. It's historically bad. I mean, we're going back to the 1800s. Guys, teams like the Cleveland Spiders. I didn't even know the Cleveland. I'm a sports historian. I had no idea who the Cleveland Spiders were. Nick, you're a baseball guy.
One of the greatest names ever.
Right. But I mean, they're one of the worst teams ever.
Yeah.
And the Rockies are right on pace. Alex, it's gone from bad to worse. We'll talk to Drew, but I don't think there's any fixing this. I don't know what's going to happen, but Dick Monfort, I think, is really, really being pressed hard to sell.
Listen, one of the highlights of my year this year was to go to the Yankees opening night game. I was with my nephews, my dad, and we watched Friday night, the game against the Yankees.
Rockies won.
Place was packed, Joe.
Yeah.
Place was packed. First inning, Aaron Judge hits a home run, and the entire stadium at Coors Field exploded like we were at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around like, this is not right. But I'm also looking at myself like, I have Yankees.
You're wearing Yankees gear. So, I mean, it is right.
I mean, am I selling out myself to say I'm not a part of the Rockies movement?
No. You just don't want to throw your money away. I mean, who does? My 10-year-old.
It was very expensive that night, by the way.
So can I give my Rockies story? My 10-year-old and me went. It's the Little League night where the kids are allowed on the field. It's a big night for these kids. So you're supposed to, I'm one of the coaches of the team, and you're supposed to talk about situational baseball as part of the team. Like, hey, now kids, if you're on third, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. So what happens honestly is The kids can't really learn anything when it's 21-0 in the baseball. I called it a football game because it's 21-0. What are you going to teach the kids in the 5th inning, Nick, when it's 21-0?
I mean, you still can always work on your fundamentals. It doesn't matter.
Man, you're a real baseball guy. The point is, my kid wanted to leave. He didn't want to stay and watch any more
You're
of it.
asking the wrong question sometimes.
No, I'm just telling you, he's a baseball guy. But most people like me leave, and my kid didn't want to stay. He's not like you. You know, you're a baseball savant. You can't teach anything to the kids when it's 21-0 because you know what they're doing? They're running around. They're not interested in the game at all.
Exactly.
It's sad. And I'm just telling you, this whole scene is sad. And I want change. I'm demanding change in the organization.
Hold on. Let me finish telling you what happened that night. So we're at the game, and Jimmy Suds, our sponsor.
Isn't he another Yankees guy?
He's a huge Yankees.
There he is. Yes, exactly.
Anyway, so he brought us down to his seats. We were like, right. Isaac, where were we at?
Behind home plate.
Yeah, right behind home plate. He had Thurman Munson. His wife had Derek Jeter. His kids, his grandchildren had
jerseys on.
Alex Rodriguez, Babe Ruth. And I'm looking around like, this is not baseball. This should not Coors Field. This should not be this way. Why I'm here? Well, you know, I was there because I was part of the scrum that watched this entire thing go down.
How many fans were Yankee fans out of those 45,000? Because I can tell you, it was probably 40, and I think there were about 5,000 Rockies fans.
I would say 70% of the fans were at Coors Field.
That's 30. So about 30, and then 12,000 or 10,000 Rockies fans, 30,000 Yankees fans.
Maybe not. What are your thoughts on? What are your thoughts on what I just said, Nick? I mean, what did I just say, man? That's horrible, right?
I mean, the Yankees travel well too. You got to remember that.
I understand.
There's a select handful of teams too that no matter what
Cubs,
you do,
Dodgers, Red Sox, Yankees.
So let me.
They're going to travel well.
Let me do.
I think the Padres are falling into that category too.
Let me do one more. So Jesse Thomas, who's the executive producer on the radio station with Jeremy Schimmel, and all those guys.
Jerry Schimmel,
play-by-play broadcast.
Yeah.
Jack
so about 3 years ago, my dad and my nephew, I'm good friends with Jesse. I'm like, hey man, listen, my dad would want to see one day how it works down in the back, in the engineering room. So he said, yeah, come on down, man. I'll get you guys in. It'll only be for like an inning. I'm like, great. So we went out there. You remember that picture, Joey?
Yeah,
we went out
it was
there,
an amazing
and
picture.
We went over there, and it was funny as we were in there, and a baseball actually went in there of a foul ball, and it kind of bounced like a little, I don't know, whatever. Pinball, yeah. And then we got the ball, and we took a picture with him, and we were like, thank you so much. Now, fast forward, he follows us, Joey. He knows what's going on with us, and he's like, listen, man. He's like, dude, you guys want to come back to Coors Field, and you want to come back in the booth? You guys got to stop bashing me, not you personally, because he made it's personal, bro. I mean, if you bash Mile High Sports, you're bashing me, Joey, or you, right? So he was like, man, it's like, don't do that anymore, man, because like one day we will be good. I'm like, I don't know when that one day will be good, Joey.
Well, here's the situation. Jesse is a great guy, and for him to do that's wonderful. But he lives in the real world. He's in the media, and I'm paid to give honest opinions on the sports teams here. I don't like bashing the Rockies, but guess what? Win some baseball games. You want people to stop bashing you? Win some baseball games. It's professional baseball, Jesse. It's not minor league.
But the other problem too is you guys start mocking them when they do win.
Well, no. Don't put me in the category of Alex. Please don't.
They go and sweep the fish, and then next thing you know, they're coming home to face the second best team in the National League in the Mets.
Right.
In the first game, they're in it until almost the bitter end.
Right. 4-2.
And then yesterday they have a typical Rockies clunker.
Right.
And now everybody's starting to mock them again. There's the Rockies. They showed up.
So mocking people and giving statistical facts when you're 12 and 52.
Mocking's not the right word. I guess I don't want to say, guys. That's horrible. All I want to say is, guys, listen, since they won their first series in the entire year against the
they swept the Marlins.
They've lost 5 in a row, right, Joe?
Four
in a row.
No, they've lost one. They've lost 2 in a row.
Let's see. All right, so
Florida, they had a day off, and they
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, so they lost Friday, Saturday. So they lost 2 in a row. I guess here's what it is. I'm conditioned to the Rockies losing when they're 12 and 52. I'm not interested. I mean, it's irrelevant to me right now. I'm much more interested in the Broncos OTAs than anything to do with. Now, there's one guy that I pointed out that is worth watching on the roster right now, and his name is Hunter Goodman. I think that's a legitimate guy that is a catcher, is going to be a decent baseball player. Whoop-de-doo. I'm not going to pay and take my family to go see that slop anymore.
They're going to trade him, Joey.
Yeah, they will. Or the New York Yankees will come in at the trade deadline and say, hey, we'll give you 3 AAA prospects for Hunter Goodman, and they'll sell off Hunter Goodman. I mean, that's the organization.
But guess what? Coors Field was filled last night, so everything's going great, right?
There's one thing that'll change the Rockies, and that's Dick Monfort selling the team. And until that, we'll talk to Drew. Yeah, Drew's gonna. So let's go. Let's move on to our second guest that's going to be coming on, Troy Renck. And he's got much more positive news because he was out at OTAs. And from what I talked to Troy, I was on the phone with him for about 10, 15 minutes. He's pretty busy, so I got a lot of time with him. And he was kind enough to tell me a little bit, just giving you a little tease as to what we're going to be talking about with him. Is the second year development of Bo Nix. And as much as everybody is positive about the additions of the roster, I mean, it's no doubt the roster has improved. I mean, you had Hufanga, you had Ingram, you had Dre Greenlaw, you had Jade Barron, or Jade, depending on how you want to pronounce his name. I mean, you're talking about 3 starters to a defense that was already insanely good, and you didn't lose anybody. Right. I mean, you're talking about a top 3 defense. It's all on Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I mean, look at CJ Stroud.
By the way, Bo Nix loves both those potatoes, man.
Yeah, he does. He loves it. And he also threw out the first pitch of the Rockies game. But what my point was, Alex, is that Bo Nix, his second year development, if you look at CJ Stroud, although he didn't have a great second year in the playoffs, they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And CJ Stroud makes them a legitimate contender for the Super Bowl this year. Well, guess what? Go check the Vegas odds, and guess who's creeping up the rankings for Super Bowl odds to win the Super Bowl? It is none other than your Denver Broncos. Nick, when you get a chance at the break sometime before Troy, get the odds for the Broncos to win the Super Bowl, and I can tell you they've gone up exponentially. I am not going there yet, but I think that for the first time in 9 years, the Kansas City Chiefs, Alex, have won this division 9 years. I think there's a legitimate question as to who's going to win the AFC West. I think you could say that about the Los Angeles Chargers.
It's June 8th, Joey.
So what? Do you want to talk about this or the Rockies?
I don't want to talk about the Rockies anymore.
Thank you.
Well, we have to the next segment.
I get it. Well, Drew's different, but I'm saying, look, we've already talked about the Rockies. Find some reason to get excited. And there is a reason, man. And that's what Troy Renck is going to bring us at 105.
Brings optimism, hopeful, expectations. Insightful. He's a CU grad. He goes to all the practice scrums. He's there everywhere. His car is his office. Remember we see Training Day when Denzel when Ethan Hawke was like, "Where's your office?" He goes, "You're sitting in it."
Yeah,
that's Troy Renck, man, and from the Denver Post,
hardest working guy I know.
Dude, the guy works. He has great hair too, Joe.
I think he's got hair. Him and Palmer have the best hair, definitely.
Ooh, that would be a good competition on that.
And then we might talk a little bit, not only with Troy, but also amongst ourselves real quick about the offseason plan for your Denver Nuggets. Probably the biggest enigma here because, you know what, I think that there was a great article by Mark Kisla citing that Josh Kroenke, has definitely been more hands-on and that, as much as they'd like to hire a GM with a lot of experience, I think Josh Kroenke is going to be a lot more hands-on. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think he's a good friend of ours. And I'm going to tell you, he's a University of Missouri grad, played basketball there, started in D1 basketball. Alex, you know this guy. He's driven to win another championship. How do the Nuggets rebuild this year? Are they going to retool? Is it going to be a big change, no change? What do you see happening to this roster?
Well, listen, we got a lot of time to talk about that.
Right. Just guess.
I mean, the team lost. They took OKC to a 7 game.
Yeah.
That should tell you everything you need to know about the Nuggets. David Adelman hire. I don't know yet, Joe, how that feels.
It's too soon.
I think Kroenke.
But you like it a little, don't you? You like this David Adelman guy.
I like him. His dad was a guy who coached the Portland Trailblazers for one of the greatest teams of all time.
Took him to the NBA Finals.
Yes.
No, he didn't coach Bill Walton. No, that's Jack Ramsey. He coached the 92 Blazers who
there you go.
Well, he coached the 90 Blazers who were against the Detroit Pistons and lost. And then 2 years later, they played against the Bulls and Jordan and lost. Come on, man. That's what I'm paid to do, brother.
But I like Adelman because he's been around the team. He knows the chemistry. They basically eliminated their entire coaching staff besides Adelman. He's a guy, which I think is a great move. Does the GM now become Adelman's move?
I think Josh Kroenke's the GM. You can pick anybody you want.
So?
There'll be somebody who comes in as a title, but it's going to be an inexperienced guy. They're not going to go out
and I see some,
hire
I see some,
hire Tim
I see some
Connolly type.
potential trades that are happening.
Right.
Joey, one of the things about the great thing about the final word is we stay in our lane.
Yeah.
We're not breaking news. We're not sham. We're not,
No.
anybody else is going to tell
We're
you.
giving our opinions.
We're giving our opinions.
Right.
And if you like it, great. If you don't like it, move on.
Listen,
But
and
if you want to
everybody
come
has
down
an
to the Bar
opinion.
38 show, I'll buy you a beer if you
Hey,
want to come
listen,
down here.
Anybody who wants to come down and join us at any time. And by the way, we can't wait until football. We're 12 to 1:30 in the off season. We got a few shows that we're going to take off. It's summer vacation. All right, people, let's enjoy the summer. But let me tell you, training camp's right around the corner, Nick Arch, Alex Ramirez. We rev it up into football season on the final word is a whole different story. This bar will be packed. We just won't be in the studio, Nick. We're also going to be out on stage. I've been talking to Nate. Alex has been talking to Nate. This bar is going to be rocking. We expect you. The show will start at 11 o'clock. We'll go to 12:30 or 1 o'clock, right? We'll lead you up to about an hour.
Yeah, Joe.
Right. But for now, we'll go to at least 1 o'clock, lead you up to the Bronco game, and get about an hour of time to still party your live. If you want to just join us and stay the whole Bronco game for all the road games, I can see that. And not only did we land as we mentioned earlier in this segment, we landed our 15th sponsor in Vinola's Italian Market. Yeah. We have 3 meetings, and one of them is the biggest meeting in Final Word history with an old friend of ours that's going to be coming around. We can't say anything, but let's just say if you need a nice new ride, it might be a very, very good time to be friends with Joe and Alex and all their friends. Hey, get ready. We're going to have parties all year long, giveaways. Matter of fact, man, we got to start giving out. We got Lostos gift cards to give out, Vinola's gift cards to give out.
Yes.
You come down and see us here, man. You want some free mercendise?
I also want to
come down, man.
I want to give a big shout out.
Stuff.
I want to give a big shout out to Denver Fools real quick as well.
Yeah, man. I love those guys. Benny and Abe.
We're planning on doing a summer pregame Broncos bash here at our spot here at number 38. They're going to bring their crew. We're going to bring our crew.
It. That sounds great.
And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have music. We're going to have kind of salad. We're going to have food outside.
Man,
listen, there's so many opportunities with this new spot that we have. I
can see a little car show. Maybe a car show.
A little car show right there.
Yeah,
we used to be over in the tech center. But again, I'm going to reiterate one more time that I want to say thank you to Nate Lundy, Doug Ottewell, Danny Bailey, everybody who has made this place possible. Our producer, Nick Archuleta.
Hey,
guys, you guys have no idea what we're about to do here.
Just so you know, because you got your back to the wall, buddy, and that's why you got your quarterback. We are going to get ready to go to break in about 1 minute, man. We're going to give our final thoughts right now before we get to Drew Creasman. Let's wrap up the quick Nuggets thing. I want your one name, Nick Arch. I'll start with you. Give me one name. I don't know, or give me one idea. One idea. I won't ask for any names. Give me your first idea.
Give me a name. Give
me a name that you want to join the roster. I got a guy. Give me your Nuggets guy. Or give me a name you want out of here. If you don't want to tell me who they should bring in, tell me who they should get out of here. Who should be off the roster?
I don't have any names yet. I'm just I'm looking at that bench and that's their weakness. You need to get some guys in there to fill that finally.
Yeah, I'm going to say, man, my guy. I'm going to give you my
Joe. You asked him a question. Let him answer.
He did. He said it's good.
That's not an answer. You can't say the whole bench. You can't say that.
He's got to add. They said it. He said that's their weakness. He's got to add a guy to the bench. That's what Adelman and
your question was. You want a name?
Yeah. All right. So give me a name of somebody you want out of here. Then, if you don't have a name, give me somebody that you wouldn't mind seeing hit the pavement.
I mean, I don't know. I guess MPJ.
MPJ, all right, Alex. Who's gonna hit the pavement? Or who do you want in it?
MPJ's out of here.
Yeah, I think that
when you watch what Caruso did in game 1,
yeah,
and he's getting paid like 1/3 of the salary that MPJ's getting paid. Yeah. I'm sorry, buddy. I know you got a lot of family stuff going on. I got a lot of family stuff going on too.
Yeah,
you gotta go, bro. If you can't shut it down for 3 hours and focus on at least your $45 million contract and get.
Yeah. He's not quite making that
double at least. Come on,
he's not making 45. He's making 30.
Matter.
But hey, listen, man, we're gonna get ready to go. Enjoy the break. We got about 6 minutes.
How about yours, Joe? Who's yours?
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now. I think it's time for MPJ to go.
Oh, so all
And
three of us agree.
I think that
MPJ's got to go.
look, when you go 1 for 9 in a playoff game that it means that much to your team, and you got to be removed in the fourth quarter of 3 playoff games because you can't help the team. I apologize, but it's time. Get what you can for the guy and get some veterans, like Nick said, on this bench. All right, when we come back, a veteran of ours, Drew Creasman, he joins the final word on the Mile High Sports YouTube channel when you come back.
This is madness.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Blasphemy. This is madness. Spartans never retreat. Spartans never surrender. This is Sparta!
My name is Anthony Mayer, owner and founder of Game Time PDR. We're located in north part of Denver, 6825 Broadway, pretty much on Highway 36 and I-25. So we specialize in repairing hail damaged vehicles. My technicians have special rods, and the goal is to get the tools underneath the dents. And with the special lights and the angles, they're able to actually massage the metal back to factory standards. We offer a done-for-you service from top to bottom. Literally, the customer doesn't have to do anything. They bring their vehicle to us. We get them under our specialty lights. We write up an estimate, submit them to the insurance, get it approved from the insurance, get it in production, get it washed up, and get it back to the customer. We do waive deductibles up to $1,000, and anybody that mentions the Colorado Spartans, we're giving them a $200 gift card. Go Spartans!
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bill Foss, the owner and maker of Suavecito Tequila. Suavecito Tequila is unique from any other tequila for 3 main reasons. The first one is my agave farm in Mexico. It's an hour and a half south of Guadalajara, and it's up in the mountains at a 7,000-foot altitude. So we have mountain-grown agave. Americans hear about mountain-grown coffee and mountain-grown grapes. They never hear about mountain-grown agave, okay? Only 8 or 9% of all tequilas are made with Highlands agave, and it's superior to Lowlands agave. Number 2, I extra age my tequilas. To be a reposado, it has to be stored in a barrel for 2 months. I keep it there for 9 months. The añejo has to be in the barrel 1 year. I keep it 2 years. The extra añejo has to be in the barrel 3 years. I age it 5 years. That extra aging just gives it more body, more texture, and more flavor. And last but not least, we're the only tequila that adds 2% agave nectar back into the tequila. This little bit of agave nectar eliminates the burn going down your throat. Makes Suavecito Tequila the smoothest tequila you will ever drink.
With millions of page views every year, ColoradoPreps.com is the #1 source for the high school sports community to keep up with the latest news and scores. From football and volleyball to basketball and softball, ColoradoPreps.com provides a year-round hub for coaches, friends, and family to stay connected to their favorite schools and athletes, and keep an eye on their rivals. Covering high school sports from the peaks to the plains, you always get the latest at ColoradoPreps.com.
My name is Anthony Mayer, owner and founder of Game Time PDR. We're located in north part of Denver, 6825 Broadway, pretty much on Highway 36 and I-25. So we specialize in repairing hail damaged vehicles. My technicians have special rods, and the goal is to get the tools underneath the dents. And with the special lights and the angles, they're able to actually massage the metal back to factory standards. We offer a done-for-you service from top to bottom. Literally, the customer doesn't have to do anything. They bring their vehicle to us. We get them under our specialty lights. We write up an estimate, submit them to the insurance, get it approved from the insurance, get it in production, get it washed up, and get it back to the customer. We do waive deductibles up to $1,000, and anybody that mentions the Colorado Spartans, we're giving them a $200 gift card. Go Spartans!
We are back here on the Final Word, and we are joined by our good friend Drew Creasman, our baseball analyst for Mile High Sports. And Drew, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming on and making time for us. I know you're going to get ready to head down to Coors Field, so we'll get started right away. You know, Drew, I went into this season with some expectations for the Rockies. I thought, hey, you know, it's going to be okay. You know, they're going to win 70 games. I thought the over on the 59.5 looked great. And boy, at 12-52, I'm shaking my head. They did have a sweep of the Florida Marlins, but they followed that up with a couple losses to the second best team in the National League. Thanks for making time for us. And where are you at on this season? As bad as it started, give us a couple reasons for hope here as we move forward.
Okay, sure. No, I can do that today. You know, this season is unsalvageable. Let's start with that. I think anybody who's, you know, just pining for a couple of wins here and there, I get it. And I do think some are going to come. For one, and none of these are excuses. These are all just facts. The Rockies have been very injured to begin the season, including missing big chunks of time from Ezekiel Tovar and Brenton Doyle, their two best players. They've called up a ton of guys, which is both encouraging for the future, but they've had 8 guys make their major league debut so far this season, which means they don't have a lot of experience out there on the field. And that's paired against the schedule that they've played, especially lately, when it's Phillies, Mets, Yankees, Cubs, Mets again. And then the one series they had against the Marlins, like you mentioned, they actually swept that. They have been playing better lately. The younger guys are showing growth. There are signs, I think, real improvement's not going to happen for a while. Let's all be honest with ourselves. But, you know, as one of the rare people out there, and I understand, who's watching every single one of these games, there actually has been a lot, and especially in the minor leagues, is showing that there's going to be a new young core to arrive here and eventually propel this team forward. But right now, it's just everything that can go wrong is going wrong, in addition to the talent gap that they have coming into the season. And it's just all piling up into this historical level of terribleness.
You are listening to Drew Creasman, the Mile High Sports Rockies insider beat writer that goes to all the games on Mile High Sports Radio with the Final Word. Listen, man, I'm with you, brother. I share all your columns on the Final Word. You know that, right? Every single one of them that goes up, whether I agree with them or I don't agree with them, I make sure that your voice is heard, because there isn't a lot of people that in your position that have that opportunity, that we share the platform with you. So we thank you for that, because it does bring a lot of insight to what is going on with the Colorado Rockies. But as you know, the current collective bargaining agreement between the owners and the Major League Baseball team union expires after the 2026 World Series.
Right.
Rockies ownership wants to be a part of the new CBA. Is that even considerably possible that could happen? I know it's far-fetched to think that way, but at the end of the day, there has to be some kind of change in some salary cap and some team that, like the Rockies, that don't have enough money like the Dodgers do or the Yankees do, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, you know, that's long been understood, but in the last couple of years, what we've seen, particularly with the Mets and the Dodgers, And the Yankees have always been massive spenders. When you add the Mets now with their new super billionaire owner into it, and then these contracts that are going on for 13 or 14 years of the deferred money so that they're going to be paying Shohei Ohtani when I'm like 60 years old. Like it's, it all is getting a bit ridiculous. And I think as much as some of the coastal media has tried to tell everybody like, no, your owner just needs to spend more. Most people realize that's not realistic. It's never been realistic. Now, I don't think they're going to have a salary cap. I'd love to see a salary cap and a salary floor, because let's not let the cheap owners off the hook either. Those do exist. And that's actually never been the Rockies' problem. But there needs to be one thing I have a hard time telling Rockies fans, because I get that your pain is your own and it is unique. And the team has done a lot of terrible things on their own. But a lot of fan bases out there, a lot of them, more than a third of maybe half the league, feels the same way that you do, that they can never compete. And if they do, it's only for a year or two at a time. They have to play everything right. And by the time their team gets good enough to go to the postseason for a couple of years, think 17, 18, well, you're not going to be able to afford to keep that team together. And so they start selling off pieces. The Reds had some good teams around Joey Votto for a couple of years. They were able to keep one guy, and it all falls apart. The Seattle Mariners hadn't made the postseason for 20-something years. Then, there's all this hope around them. Now they're back to looking forward again. There's so many franchises in the sport that it just feels like they're also Rans. They're begging for table scraps from the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Cubs, and that it's just not sustainable forever.
Well, I think those are great points. And Drew, that's why you're such a great writer. Let me tell you this, though. There are small market teams that win, and those windows are, they have that young core that comes together for the 2 to 3 years where they're all under the same umbrella. And then, one by one, as the contracts go, there goes the team. And it starts dwindling where you win 90, then 83, then 70, and then you're back down to winning 55 games again. Right. And I think that isn't even happening, though, here in Colorado. And I think that's the discouraging part is, look, where's our 1 year where everything came together since 18 that says, hey, we won 84 games this year? There haven't been, just to be fair, I think for fans who are looking to spend their hard-earned money, even at Coors Field, the best ballpark in town. Come on, you got to start winning some baseball games if you want these people to show up, period.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say to the people, if you're not going, wait for them to start winning again. And I'm not out here trying to make empty promises to anybody. What I will say, and I can run through this as quickly as I can, they really thought that after the whole Nolan Arenado fiasco, they were going to be able to replace him with Chris Bryant. They mostly had their pitching intact, and they were going to try to roll that forward. When it didn't work out with Chris Bryant and a bunch of their pitchers got hurt, they decided to start trading off a ton of veterans, and the rebuild didn't really actually begin until 2023. And I know a lot of people struggle with this because they've been bad for so long. And so when I say, well, there's a core group of guys that have been building in the minors since that season, and you've got to give them a chance to come up and see what they can do. People go, man, we've been giving them a chance. And you have. And look, that last group of players, it didn't work out, and none of them are going to be on the next good Rockies team. But the next good Rockies team is largely going to feature guys who have barely appeared this season. Like I mentioned, the 8 major league debuts that we've seen so far, a few other guys in the minor leagues. That young core, I do believe, is coming. But I get that people aren't going to believe it until, as you put it, they start winning some baseball games, which I really don't think is going to happen until next year. But in the meantime, those young players need to learn everything they can from a season like this, from getting beat by teams like the Mets and the Yankees and the Phillies, who do those things the right way, who show the utmost of professionalism and understand, okay, that's where, I might have been good in AA. I might have been good in AAA, but I'm not Aaron Judge. I'm not Juan Soto. I'm not Francisco Lindor, and I got a lot of room to get better. And so, we'll see. I get it for the fans. Like, it's going to be bad a minute, and if you don't feel like riding it out, wait till they start winning again. But I do believe, just me personally, there is a group of young players in the minors about ready to come up and make this thing better.
Well, still, there has to be an equitable solution when it comes to this kind of like differential of money. Yeah. While most TV deals expire in the next few years, Drew, the Dodgers have an $8.35 billion deal in the 11th year of their 25-year agreement that doesn't run out until the end of the 2039 year. which is one of the reasons why Los Angeles Dodgers can offer Shohei Ohtani one of those big contracts that are deferred. When do we get that opportunity where we can say, hey, we just signed a contract with Yes Network or some huge cronky billion-dollar deal that we can say, okay, we got this $100 billion deal. Now we can start paying these players how they should be paid, like the guys that you just mentioned, the Lindors, the Otanis. I mean, is there an end to this madness anywhere? Because right now I'm really frustrated, and the only reason why I went to that Yankees game is because my nephews love it, and my dad is a huge fan. And we went out there, and we had a great time on a Friday night. And when Aaron Judge hit that first inning home run, the entire stadium went crazy. I was like, man, this is not baseball anymore. We're here to just host these other guys that are coming here to showcase us in some ways. That was really frustrating, but I had a good time, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, look, it's hard to beat a ball game on a Friday night, even when the team is this terrible. And especially at that ballpark with this, we've mostly had good weather of late. It was pretty bad to start the season. But yeah, I do think there's going to be a conversation about TV revenue sharing on the next CBA. I really hope there's some movement on that because, that really is the big thing that I think a lot of people miss out when they have this conversation. They look at just, how much these owners are worth, whatever. What they don't understand is that the Yankees, and now especially the Dodgers, are not only, making money off of jerseys and people watching their TV, the merchandise, whatever, from everybody in LA, but everybody in Japan, everybody in Brazil, everybody all over the world is potential revenue for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And no matter how good this next crop of Rockies guys are, even when it was Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon, DJ LeMahieu, people in Brazil aren't buying DJ LeMahieu jerseys. You know what I mean? I love DJ. It's one of my favorite people I've ever covered. But where Shohei Ohtani, pick any city anywhere in the world, any free city anywhere in the world, there is somebody right now wearing a Los Angeles Dodgers jersey. There is somebody right now wearing a New York Yankees jersey. And that is something that if you want competition in your sport, the way the NBA and the NFL have literally where the market where Kansas City can become a powerhouse and the NBA, Denver and Milwaukee can win championships. The only way Major League Baseball is ever going to get there is if they share the TV money, Alex. You're exactly right.
Well, the other thing is the NBA. I mean, look at the teams right now, Indiana and Oklahoma City. I mean, you can't get much more small market than that. And the NBA, they're both in the NBA finals. I do give baseball credit for franchises being able, I mean, the addition of the third wild card, I think was genius. I think that was great. It keeps the pennant races all the way down to the wire. And most of the time it keeps a guy, maybe your team's 81 and 60, 75, and they would normally be out of the race. But that third wild card is, that's what the record is to get it. Well, now there's 6 teams. Well, now the ballparks are filled and there's excitement and little kids are getting involved. I mean, having coached my 10-year-old the last 3 years has really changed my perspective on baseball. It's really a grassroots thing, isn't it? You get involved in the culture of baseball at kid age, not now, not as an adult. I think that's what's missing from the Rockies is that grassroots where my kid can go. My kid went and it was 21-0 during that game. I mean, it wasn't the same. And he got to go on the field that day. That was supposed to be a memorable day, and he wanted to leave in the 5th inning. I don't think that's going to keep fans coming in, and that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I will say one thing is, the games, this is one of those, man, I don't know how much you care about moral victories or closer to the pin. It's professional sports, so I feel silly even saying it, but they've played much closer baseball games lately. Since Warren Schaefer has taken over, they've played about 25 baseball games, been blown out 2, maybe 3 times. They've been playing these really good teams. The other night, it was a tie ball game going into the 9th against the Mets, and they pinch hit Lindor with 2 outs. One of the best players in the game gets a 2 RBI double, and that's the ball game because you're not going to score off of Edwin Diaz. It's almost impossible. And so, I will say that I do think the competitiveness of it, but you're right. That's for me the biggest, because I tell people all the time, I don't care. To me, there's no difference between 97 wins, 100 or losses. Wins? What? 97 losses, 107 losses, 117 losses. Makes no difference in terms of the long-term future of this team. If the right guys grow, they can get better. But in terms of those types of things, losing the fan base, creating a culture of losing, right? All of those types of things, I think you really do have to be careful of. And that's the biggest reason why I hope starting soon, or at least going into the second half, we do see better play from these guys, that they don't set the all-time record for the worst team ever, that they avoid some of that stuff so they can say, you know what, we improved throughout the year, which really was our goal coming into the season.
You are listening to Drew Creasman, our Mile High Sports insider for the Colorado Rockies at Mile High Sports. Great column recently about how to fix the Colorado Rockies with a potential realignment. Can you give us a little bit more information on what your thoughts are on that? Because that might be something that they could tinker with, right?
Yeah, well, that's another thing about this whole money situation too. It's never made any sense that the Rockies play in the NL West with these California teams that have way bigger budgets. Also, the travel is difficult. The environment, you're going from one of the better hitter parks ever to some of the best pitching parks ever. All of this stuff, when I think baseball is going to expand soon anyway. We've been hearing about it for a long time, and it would just make much more sense for the Rockies to be playing in a division with like Arizona, maybe the Texas teams, maybe Kansas City. Like when you look at middle of the country teams, they have those lower budgets and they have a little bit more parity. Sometimes the Twins are in it. Sometimes the Guardians are in it. Sometimes the Royals are good. Sometimes they're not. Back and forth with the Rangers. There's a lot more up and down, which is, and the Rockies belong in a division where there aren't two teams, the Dodgers and the Giants, who have been good forever, and now the Padres, who have all the money in the world to spend. The California teams should all play each other. They all are fighting over that massive audience, and I just think that, and travel would make a lot more sense too. The Rockies' travel schedule gets ridiculous. They're always changing time zones, always going from high altitude to low altitude, super extreme environment stuff, playing some of these teams in the middle of the country a little more often. Just it makes more sense. And yeah, if you're not playing the Dodgers so often, you might win a few more games.
Well, Drew, we really appreciate having you on. We know you got to catch a ride down to Coors Field right now. And, I told you 12:53, so we're going to give you a bonus 2-minute jump on things. Thank you so much for making time for us. Real quick before they go, how do they get your content and how do they follow you on X?
Yeah, just follow me out there. Just at Drew Creasman on all the social media stuffs, on the Instagram. The milehighsports.com is where all the written content in, and the podcast is 20th and Blake.
Well, we really love you, man. Appreciate it. I know you got some young kids too, so I hope you're sleeping okay.
We appreciate you, buddy. You always have you walking off the edge. We share all your columns.
Yep.
Sometimes they get a little controversial. We don't care. We put them up there, and I know you see that. So yeah. We love having your content, and everybody at Mile High Sports appreciates your hard work, man.
I appreciate you guys so much.
That's Drew Creasman. Make sure you follow him all year long, all the way through the end of the season. And hey, I do agree with you. Someday the Rockies will be better. Let's hope it's sooner than later, Drew. Love having you on. We'll have you on again sometime closer to the playoffs. All right, that's Drew Creasman. And when we come back, our good friend Troy Renck from the Denver Post, he'll join us. He was at OTAs for your Denver Broncos. Can we say Super Bowl contender? We'll ask Troy if that's hyperbole or fact when you return to the final word on the Mile High Sports YouTube channel.
Spartans! What is your profession? This is blasphemy. This is madness. Spartans never retreat. Spartans never surrender. This is Sparta!
My name is Anthony Mayer, owner and founder of Game Time PDR. We're located in north part of Denver, 6825 Broadway, pretty much on Highway 36 and I-25. So we specialize in repairing hail damaged vehicles. My technicians have special rods, and the goal is to get the tools underneath the dents. And with the special lights and the angles, they're able to actually massage the metal back to factory standards. We offer a done-for-you service from top to bottom. Literally, the customer doesn't have to do anything. They bring their vehicle to us. We get them under our specialty lights. We write up an estimate, submit them to the insurance, get it approved from the insurance, get it in production, get it washed up, and get it back to the customer. We do waive deductibles up to $1,000, and anybody that mentions the Colorado Spartans, we're giving them a $200 gift card. Go Spartans!
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bill Foss, the owner and maker of Suavecito Tequila. Suavecito Tequila is unique from any other tequila for three main reasons. The first one is my agave farm in Mexico. It's an hour and a half south of Guadalajara, and it's up in the mountains at a 7,000-foot altitude. So we have mountain-grown agave. Americans hear about mountain-grown coffee and mountain-grown grapes. They never hear about mountain-grown agave, okay? Only 8 or 9% of all tequilas are made with highlands agave, and it's superior to lowlands agave. Number two, I extra age my tequilas. To be a reposado, it has to be stored in a barrel for 2 months. I keep it there for 9 months. The añejo has to be in the barrel 1 year. I keep it 2 years. The extra añejo has to be in the barrel 3 years. I age it 5 years. That extra aging just gives it more body, more texture, and more flavor. And last but not least, we're the only tequila that adds 2% agave nectar back into the tequila. This little bit of agave nectar eliminates the burn going down your throat. Makes Suavecito Tequila the smoothest tequila you will ever drink.
With millions of page views every year, ColoradoPreps.com is the #1 source for the high school sports community to keep up with the latest news and scores. From football and volleyball to basketball and softball, ColoradoPreps.com provides a year-round hub for coaches, friends, and family to stay connected to their favorite schools and athletes, and keep an eye on their rivals. Covering high school sports from the peaks to the plains, you always get the latest at ColoradoPreps.com.
Spartans! What is your profession? This is blasphemy. This is madness. Spartans never retreat. Spartans never surrender. This is Sparta!
My name is Anthony Mayer, owner and founder of Game Time PDR. We're located in north part of Denver, 6825 Broadway, pretty much on Highway 36 and I-25. So we specialize in repairing hail damaged vehicles. My technicians have special rods, and the goal is to get the tools underneath the dents. And with the special lights and the angles, they're able to actually massage the metal back to factory standards. We offer a done-for-you service from top to bottom. Literally, the customer doesn't have to do anything. They bring their vehicle to us. We get them under our specialty lights. We write up an estimate, submit them to the insurance, get it approved from the insurance, get it in production, get it washed up, and get it back to the customer. We do waive deductibles up to $1,000, and anybody that mentions the Colorado Spartans, we're giving them a $200 gift card. Go Spartans!
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bill Foss, the owner and maker of Suavecito Tequila. Suavecito Tequila is unique from any other tequila for three main reasons. The first one is my agave farm in Mexico. It's an hour and a half south of Guadalajara, and it's up in the mountains at a 7,000-foot altitude. So we have mountain-grown agave. Americans hear about mountain-grown coffee and mountain-grown grapes. They never hear about mountain-grown agave, okay? Only 8 or 9% of all tequilas are made with highlands agave, and it's superior to lowlands agave. Number two, I extra age my tequilas. To be a reposado, it has to be stored in a barrel for 2 months. I keep it there for 9 months. The añejo has to be in the barrel 1 year. I keep it 2 years. The extra añejo has to be in the barrel 3 years. I age it 5 years. That extra aging just gives it more body, more texture, and more flavor. And last but not least, we're the only tequila that adds 2% agave nectar back into the tequila. This little bit of agave nectar eliminates the burn going down your throat. Makes Suavecito Tequila the smoothest tequila you will ever drink.
With millions of page views every year, ColoradoPreps.com is the #1 source for the high school sports community to keep up with the latest news and scores. From football and volleyball to basketball and softball, ColoradoPreps.com provides a year-round hub for coaches, friends, and family to stay connected to their favorite schools and athletes, and keep an eye on their rivals. Covering high school sports from the peaks to the plains, you always get the latest at ColoradoPreps.com.
Spartans! What is your profession? This is blasphemy. This is madness. Spartans never retreat. Spartans never surrender. This is Sparta!
My name is Anthony Mayer, owner and founder of Game Time PDR. We're located in north part of Denver, 6825 Broadway, pretty much on Highway 36 and I-25. So we specialize in repairing hail-damaged vehicles. My technicians have special rods, and the goal is to get the tools underneath the dents. And with the special lights and the angles, they're able to actually massage the metal back to factory standards. We offer a done-for-you service from top to bottom. Literally, the customer doesn't have to do anything. They bring their vehicle to us. We get them under our specialty lights. We write up an estimate, submit them to the insurance, get it approved from the insurance, get it in production, get it washed up, and get it back to the customer. We do waive deductibles up to $1,000, and anybody that mentions the Colorado Spartans, we're giving them a $200 gift card. Go Spartans.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bill Foss, the owner and maker of Suavecito Tequila. Suavecito Tequila is unique from any other tequila for three main reasons. The first one is my agave farm in Mexico. It's an hour and a half south of Guadalajara, and it's up in the mountains at a 7,000 foot altitude. So we have mountain-grown agave. Americans hear about mountain-grown coffee and mountain-grown grapes. They never hear about mountain-grown agave, okay? Only 8 or 9% of all tequilas are made with highlands agave, and it's superior to lowlands agave. Number two, I extra age my tequilas. To be a reposado, it has to be stored in a barrel for 2 months. I keep it there for 9 months. The añejo has to be in the barrel 1 year. I keep it 2 years. The extra añejo has to be in the barrel 3 years. I age it 5 years. That extra aging just gives it more body, more texture, and more flavor. And last but not least, we're the only tequila that adds 2% agave nectar back into the tequila. This little bit of agave nectar eliminates the burn going down your throat. Makes Suavecito Tequila the smoothest tequila you will ever drink.
With millions of page views every year, ColoradoPreps.com is the #1 source for the high school sports community to keep up with the latest news and scores. From football and volleyball to basketball and softball, ColoradoPreps.com provides a year-round hub for coaches, friends, and family to stay connected to their favorite schools and athletes, and keep an eye on their rivals. Covering high school sports from the peaks to the plains, you always get the latest at ColoradoPreps.com.
Just come in and sit.
All right, Joe Rico, Alex Ramirez. We are back here on the Mile High Sports YouTube channel. And at this time, we are always, as always, privileged to be joined by our good friend, Troy Renck from the Denver Post. He is the hardest working man in the Denver media, in my eyes. He's at airports at times that are ungodly and otherwise unheard of, but he's there. He's at all the events. Guy's travel schedule. He looks like, an executive for one of the teams because he is everywhere. Troy, thanks so much for joining Alex and I this afternoon. And we'll start with the Denver Broncos. And, it's kind of funny because the pecking order of who's closest to winning a championship in this town always changes, and it's fluid, right? I mean, you can exclude the Rockies for now, but out of the Avalanche, Nuggets, and Broncos, I think it's been fair to say since Bo Nix's arrival, it's been objective, and the Avalanche and Nuggets didn't get it done. Now it's the Broncos' turn, and that comes up starting in about a month and a half. So, Troy, I'll start with the OTAs. Bo Nix, obviously in his second year, I saw him out there kind of coaching, maneuvering players. How much more confident do you see Bo Nix being out there, and your first indications of how the OTAs looked and some of the new additions especially? And thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, Alex and Joe, thank you as always. I'm happy to be back at the program. Listen, the Broncos are definitely trending in the right direction. And when I look at Bo Nix, the biggest difference is he is so comfortable in his own skin. Last year, this time, he was still trying to win the job. I mean, he didn't win it until the last preseason, essentially the second to last preseason game. Now it's very clear, as Mike McGlinchey told me this week in a column in the Denver Post, it's Bo's team. He knows it, and everybody knows it, and that's how he acts at practice. Not in a prima donna way or look at me. He's just in charge. He's given it back to Sean Payton. He's mad if he has one incompletion. This guy is a shark, no wasted movement. He's very compartmentalized that if it doesn't help him get better and make this team better, he kind of basically eliminates it from his life. So what I see from him, Alex and Joe, is a guy who's very confident, who understands he's got better weapons around him in both the run game and the pass game, certainly with the addition of Evan Ingram. And, again, he had 34 total touchdowns last year. His last 12 games last year, he was a top 10 quarterback. I think by the end of this year, it's going to be very clear he's a top 15 quarterback in the NFL, and it's going to be just as clear that the Broncos are a threat to make a Super Bowl run. I don't see it this year, but I would think in Nix's third season, you're going to look at this team and go, man, their defense is nasty. Their offense is progressing. This is a team that can make a Super Bowl run. But he's stuck out. Devon Vele has stuck out. Marvin Mims and Talanoa Hufanga, the new safety, has made an early impression. I mean, they're really good defensively. I mean, they have a chance to be a top 2-3 defense, maybe even one overall. But Bo Nix is the story. And it's just the way he acts, man. He gets it. He understands what it is to be the Broncos quarterback. And it's just to have stability in that position is so unique after the previous 7-8 years after Peyton Manning.
You are listening to Troy Renck from the Denver Post, one of our longtime guests, huge contributor, not only to the Mile High Sports family, but all over the media here in Colorado. And Troy, I just want to know, man, you don't ever sleep, man. I always say, Troy's everywhere. He's at the Broncos practice facilities. He's at the Nuggets practices. He goes to the Rockies games. He's used to be a beat writer for the Rockies a long time ago. So let's just real quick. I want to just bring it back down a little bit. You were at the Broncos facility and you're talking about what you just said, Joey. This is a team that has a different identity now with Bo Nix. This is a team now that Sean Payton has really, now this is his team. A team that really wants to now, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, these were voluntary workouts last week. Now it's mandatory coming up this week. How many guys were missing or how many guys were not there? And does that raise any kind of expectations or eyebrows that you might be looking at? Hey, well, he wasn't there. Maybe he was there. But talk about the team right now. Overall, your 35 years of watching this team and covering this team as a journalist and a radio analyst and a print person all the way around. Troy, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting because players have fought. They get very few concessions, Alex, in the CBA, but one of them is fewer offseason workouts and making the first portion of the offseason voluntary. But I always say that comes with air quotes. I mean, it is voluntary, but if you're not a dude, I would never suggest missing it because somebody's going to pass you in a sport where only a handful of guys have guaranteed contracts. But it says a lot about the program and the culture that Sean Payton and his coaching staff have created over the last couple of years, that other than John Franklin Myers, everyone's been there for the most part. Now, Garrett Bowles missed for a family thing, or you have guys miss here and there, but it's usually with something specific. They're not doing it as any kind of protest for a contract. They're not doing it because they like working out with their guy in Florida or Arizona. And that's one of the things that's changed dramatically under Payton. The last 2 years, the Broncos have been one of the fewest injured team in the league in terms of fewest missed games, the fewest missed practices. So they have gone to the players, guys, and said, hey, we have this great facility here. You work out with our training staff. You train at altitude. And guess what? Nobody gets hurt. Now, again, some of it's luck, and they've had some good fortune too, because in the NFL, it's 100% injury rate. But they've eliminated a lot of the soft tissue injuries that really plagued them prior to Peyton's arrival those last couple years. So guys are buying into that. They're buying into it. Why would I be like Bo Nix lives here year round? It's not, oh, you see him at an Avs game, a Nuggets game. Every player I talked to, like, he was in with every free agent visit. He's in the facility like every day. I mean, I'm not certainly 5 days a week. So that is one of the things you notice, Alex, is who's there? Everyone's there. Last year at this time, Cortland Sutton was not participating in the voluntary portion as a form of, the one little leverage he had to try to get a new contract. He ultimately got, $1.7 million in incentives. He's in the same situation this year. He deserves a new contract, but I'm telling you guys, if he sits on that number of wanting 25 to 27 million a year, and he deserves it based on last season, I'm not sure they get a deal done with him because I know they want to prioritize Nick Bonito and Zach Allen. So you're talking about, Alex, who's there? Those two guys are there. John Franklin Myers has missed some time because he wants to get a new deal. The problem is they drafted Savion Jones from LSU. They're not going to give Franklin Myers a new deal. They drafted the kid from LSU to be his replacement. It stinks. That's how the NFL works. But to the bigger part of this question, the macro part of this question of attendance is almost everyone's there because of two things. One, they're winning. And so that goes into the second thing, which is the culture. And then as part of that culture is the fact that they can point to statistics and say, if you train here with our guys, you have a very good chance to stay healthy during the season. So that's why it's just guys are buying in. I mean, again, a lot of this goes with winning. It's the chicken or egg. What happens first here? When you start winning, guys are much more amped to stay around the facility than when your team sucks and you don't want to be around your coaches any more than you have to. So it's really starting to build on itself, that momentum of why would I go somewhere else and train when I can train here in a world-class facility with guys who are going to keep me healthy?
Well, let's talk about the new guys, because I think I'm really excited about the new additions, both in the draft class and, you mentioned Savon Jones. There's Pat Bryant, Jade Barron, depending on whose pronunciation you want to
Depends
find.
how
He wants to pronounce, and Troy will ask more about that. Then you've got RJ Harvey, a guy with some, I think could be a big difference maker. On the free agency tip, you have Ingram, Hufanga, Greenlaw. I mean, you'd say you had a 10-7 football team in already, and you're bringing 6 or 7 quality guys onto your football team. What are your expectations? I know you don't win anything on paper, but, I think George Payton and Sean have really worked well together to build a good quality roster going into the season.
Yeah, listen, I think you brought it up, Joe. 10 is the floor for me. That's the new floor. So they're a playoff team in my eyes. I believe they have a realistic shot. Now, I got to see it in training camp before I make my final prediction, but I believe this Broncos team has a shot to end the Chiefs' 9-year run of dominance in the AFC West. Between they and the Chargers, I think one of those teams wins the West this year. I don't think the Chiefs win the West. The Broncos, for me, it's pretty simple. If Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga stay on the field and Ingram catches like 60 passes, they're going to win the AFC West. If those 3 guys miss significant time, they're not good enough yet to be an AFC West champion without those contributions. But if you look at Dre Greenlaw's history, he's their first sideline-to-sideline linebacker since Danny Trevathan, guys, if you can believe it. That was 2015.
Wow.
That was 10 years ago. He's that guy who can cover a tight end. And then you got Talanoa Hufanga. He plays downhill. He will light you up like the Vegas Strip. But he also has an instinct for the ball. When it's in the air, he gets interceptions. He had 7 takeaways for a couple of years, or 2 out of the last 3 years. This is a guy who's always around the ball, who plays downhill, plays aggressive. Part of the reason he gets hurt is he plays so physical. But you see him, he's a true leader. Both these guys they brought in are true leaders. Greenlaw came here in part because he wanted to get out of Fred Warner's shadow, and he loves Fred Warner, but he wanted to kind of be able to call the defense and be his own man. And so if those 2 are healthy, that's huge. And they need Ingram to play, 13, 14 games because they've got to start owning the middle of the field. That's why they got Greenlaw and Talanoa in defense, and they want Ingram to own the middle part of that field to give Bo Nix that safety, basically that safety valve, the security blanket, that tight end that runs an option route that just sits there and gets 6 yards. Here, first down, 6 yards, second down, 6. Like, that guy is so valuable for a quarterback. But I like him. On paper, I think they're definitely going to win more than 10 games. I just got to see it in camp. The thing you brought up about RJ Harvey, I like him, but I don't think they totally trust RJ Harvey, Audric Estime, and Jaleel McLaughlin on 3rd down. The irony is that's what Javonte Williams was good at. He just wasn't a starting running back anymore. I mean, he had 513 yards last year. That's the fewest guys in 17 years as a head coach. That's the lowest rushing total leader for Sean Payton. They had to upgrade. But J.K. Dobbins is still out there. Nick Chubb's still out there. It wouldn't surprise me if they eventually bring in one of those guys to play on 3rd down, because you can't have RJ Harvey or Estime miss a block and get on 3rd down and get Bo Nix hurt. Like, you just can't do it. And so I think they would never say this, but my guess is they're a little uneasy about that 3rd down situation. Harvey looks the part as an every down back. I do think they want Estime to be more physical. Stop dancing around. Just put your head down, and he's got to protect the ball. But they should be better offensively. The entire offensive line's back. You upgraded at tight end. Devon Vele has been a star in OTAs. I think he's a guy that's due for a breakout season. Troy Franklin looks better. Marvin Mims was so big the last month of the season. They should just be better offensively. But again, the key is, can Ingram stay on the field, win the middle of the field? And can between Harvey and Estime, one of those guys completely become the one, and another one of them, either a free agent or the other guy, starts to win on 3rd down, where you can trust him on 3rd down?
Last one for me on the Broncos topic, and then Joe will get into another one. Greenlaw, Fonga, all these different guys, Singleton. These guys are all coming back from injury, Troy.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of what ifs, and yes, they've been training and they've been doing their whole deal and trying to get back into shape. But at the end of the day, if all these players were to come back rehabilitated at 100%, which hopefully that's what it is, because the two guys from San Francisco, you got Singleton, and you grab a player like even like a Nick Chubb, or a player like J.K. Dobbins, who left here. He was here in Denver. He left without a contract. There's some question marks that we have to answer, because these guys got to get back to health wise. If these guys are back to health 100% wise, we're looking good, buddy, right?
Well, defensively, Alex, they should be easily a top 5 defense. I mean, remember last year they had 63 sacks, and they improved dramatically against the run. Well, here's the situation. If the Broncos offense improves if not significantly, just a little bit, and where you're leading in games, you guys see it, you cover football, you're with the Spartans. When you're leading in a game, how much more aggressive does it make your defense? And that's the one thing that was kind of missing at times last year were takeaways. They had 25, they finished 8th. Well, if this offense can get them a 14-3 lead, middle of the second quarter, the takeaways are going to go up, guys. They're going to go up, and so that's part of it. But Greenlaw is already hurt. He hurt himself in off-season workouts with his quad. Like, he should be fine for training camp, everything my sources are telling me. But that's the reason he was available at the prices he was available. But, the Niners really wanted him, but he's wanted him back, but he gets hurt. And he missed. You all remember the Super Bowl where he goes onto the field and tears his Achilles. That was just unfortunate.
Pre-game. That was pregame, right?
Yeah.
No, it was during the game. He was just running onto the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got hurt. And so if he's healthy, he's their best linebacker they've had since Danny Trevathan. But it's an if. And Talanoa, he's going to get hurt at some point just because of the way he plays. He acknowledges that. But you can't have him miss. Like, if he misses 3 games with a broken forearm or something, that's one thing. You just got to avoid those, the knee and the Achilles. Both of them have had significant injuries over the last couple of years. That's what you have to avoid. If they miss 2 or 3 weeks, you can cover that. You just can't suddenly go, we're going to be a great team and have those guys play, 10 games each, or 4 games each. Like, they can't cover that. In terms of the running back thing, people ask me about Dobbins. It's my understanding with Dobbins, like a lot of free agents, he had a good visit. He wants more money. The Chargers, I think, tendered him at like $1.6 million. He wants more than that. I don't know that the Broncos they're not going to get into a bidding war because there's not really a market for him. Nick Chubb might fall to him. I know there's a lot of interest in Chubb, but both those guys are going to end up signing. I can't imagine that it would be more than like $3 million, maybe incentives, but I know they want to get Dobbins closer to the veteran minimum with incentives. And I'm sure Dobbins is like, hey, I want $3.5-4 million guaranteed. The problem with Dobbins is he was really good early, and then he only averaged about 3.8 yards a carry over the second half of the season. But again, the reason they would want him is that third down role. They're not looking for him, it's my understanding, to come in and be the starting running back. They really do want Harvey to win that role, but Dobbins could be a guy that could be on third down, a veteran you trust. The irony is they need a Samaje Perine. That's the guy you want. No one's better really on third down and in pass pro and catching the ball in the backfield than Perine. They didn't need him last year because they're a young team, but that's what they would be looking for in my mind, even with the Chubb, but certainly with Dobbins. But Alex, you're right. On paper, there's questions, and Sean Payton typically doesn't like to deal with injured players, but he has so much confidence right now in his training staff that they're going to keep guys on the field that he was willing to, push the chips to the middle of the table with Talanoa, Hufanga, and Greenlaw. And if he's right, I think we're going to be talking about an AFC West championship. If he's wrong, I think you're going to be talking about a team that wins 10 games and has to go on the road in the playoffs first round.
Well, here's this will be the last one, and it starts and ends with Bo Nix to me. I mean, all these other things are great, and we saw it with CJ Stroud a little bit last year, a little bit of a regression, but when they pushed their chips to the middle of the table in the divisional playoff, the Texans almost beat the Chiefs. And this is my joy, is seeing not so much the last game of the year, because I don't think the Chiefs took that seriously, but that first game of the year, the Alex Forsyth game, I think you saw the coming of age of Bo Nix a little bit there. You saw him stand up a little bit to Patrick Mahomes, and it wasn't like past years where I felt the Broncos had no hope. I felt like with Bo Nix, I can see it changing the guard at some point. It may not be this year. You're right. It might be next year. But mark my words, I don't see any reason the Broncos couldn't be this year's Cinderella team in the AFC. And I wouldn't even say a Cinderella team. This year's team that gets to the AFC Championship game and walks away a loser in Arrowhead or in Buffalo or in Baltimore. I could really see that. And maybe not even that. I can also see the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh with a similar fate. Can you talk about, that to a little bit? Because I think that one of these two teams is going to dethrone the Chiefs this year.
Yeah, it's just the Chiefs have so many questions around their offensive line. And listen, Patrick Mahomes is fantastic. There's just no way around it. I mean, we all know now how Chiefs fans felt when the Broncos had Elway and Manning. At times you felt a little helpless, but they're vulnerable. They were the best team I've ever covered and seen in person last year.
Yeah.
They weren't that good. I watched them, I kept telling people that's not a great team. They're not. Like, you can't continue to win the way they were winning. And they was like, that's not luck. I'm like, it is a bit lucky. The Raiders snap, the Broncos block field goal. I mean, yes, they make some of their own luck, but you can't consistently win like that in the NFL where you're getting penalties bailed out by the ref against the Bengals, the block field goal against the Broncos, right. the snap, the quarterback has the wrong snap count for the Raiders. Like, they had let's be honest here. They had 3 or 4 games they should have lost. Okay. And then in the playoffs, they got exposed. Their offensive line's not that good. And they didn't really upgrade it dramatically this offseason. They're going to be counting on some young guys, patchwork offensive line. Now, he gets his receivers back. Rashee Rice should be back. But Kelsey, listen, I respect the hell out of his career. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He looked done at the end of last year. Not just the Super Bowl. He just looked done at times.
He needs to shave his back, by the way, when he
goes.
Right.
Is he going to suddenly become back? The only way I think it works for Kelsey, I don't think he would do it, is like Gronkowski, where he just plays like the second half of the season, so he's fresh for the playoffs, like they would do with Gronkowski those last couple of years. But I don't see him having, doing this triple Lindy into the fountain of youth and suddenly being the guy he was 3 years ago. So I just think they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable. As long as they have Andy Reid, as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, they're the
Taylor
best team.
Swift, they're good.
Yeah, Taylor's baby. I heard Taylor might suit up and kick this year.
Stop, Joey, stop. But they did make the revenue increase with the collective bargaining agreement. That is a fact, right?
Oh, Taylor did a little bit of that.
Hold on. Listen, real quick. Last one from us all the way around. Listen, very much. We'd love to have you down here one day at number 38.
Especially during football.
Yeah, and then we'll buy your lunch. We did like at Sloan's Lake. We did last time.
Yeah.
Listen. David Adelman, Joey was on vacation swimming with dolphins when this happened, and I just wanted to ask you your thoughts on the hiring with Josh Kroenke and Stan hiring David Adelman as the new Denver Nuggets head coach. You're out there all the time, and we used to be out there all the time. This is a team that only lost. Well, if you look at the OKC team, they lost 3 games going into the finals, and one of them. 3 of them were to the Nuggets.
And
now
they
down
lost 4
0-1.
and 3 were to the Nuggets.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this hiring? And that's the last one for me, Tony. Detroit.
Yeah, listen, Adelman, when they won the Clippers series, I thought he earned the job, Alex. He created a meritocracy in the playoffs where whoever's playing the best is going to play the most. But urgency of the playoffs allows that. Guys understand, like, hey, I can't ride – I've got to ride the hot hand here. Can he do that for 82 games? He says he's going to implement a little bit of a different offense to slow things down in the half court at times, especially when Jokic is off the floor, to limit the number of possessions you don't have with him. I don't have issue with Adelman. It's a weird thing that they hired Adelman before the general manager. I don't like that. That tells me they're just going to go with the in-house guy or some combination thereof of Ben Tenzer and somebody else, because you can't bring a GM in with any power and say you don't get to hire the head coach. But I believe Adelman's ready. He would have gotten a job somewhere. He might have gotten the job in Phoenix, frankly, if he didn't get it here. But the thing they have to figure out is if you can't trade Michael Porter Jr., he's the guy they would like to move on from. And it's hard with his contract and with his back and with his other injuries. But if you're going to just run it back with the starting 5, then you got to go get Bruce Brown and Mason Plumlee or Tyus Jones, a backup point guard. Like, they have just got to have a better bench. Because when you ask about Adelman, I like the Adelman hire. I have an open mind about it. But they're basically saying we're going to run it back and Adelman's going to turn their bench into really good players. I don't believe that. I think you're going to have to go add to the bench. You're going to have to go get a Bruce Brown, a Plumlee, or somebody like that, because you can't. They were going 5 deep, and they need to move on from Westbrook. He'd have to decline his player option, but that's just too many personalities for Adelman to manage. If you got Jokic, Murray, and Westbrook, I don't think it's fair to Adelman to have to deal with that as much as Westbrook helped during the playoffs. He's not a guy that understands his role as a bench guy. He really doesn't totally buy into that on a lot of nights. So they need to get bench guys, and that'll give Adelman a chance. But I just hope that they're not sitting here and thinking that they're fine, because they can't beat Oklahoma City with the way they're constructed right now. And frankly, I don't think they could beat the Timberwolves either.
Well, that is our man, Troy Renck from the Denver Post. You can catch him on all the shows here on Mile High Sports. And Troy, it's so nice to rejoin you and be able to hang out a little bit with you. Please, during the football season, we have a new prospective partnership that I think is right up your alley. It's going to be very similar to what we did out at Sloan's. So, you're a VIP, or maybe during the road games, I think it might be even a little easier to come and, hit us up. The home games might be a little tough, but
We love Troy, man.
That Monday night game against Cincinnati, though, it'd be great to have you out that Sunday for our, hang out with us.
Troy's family will never spend $1 here at number
Yeah,
38.
no,
We got you.
Yeah, we got
love
you, Troy.
brother. We appreciate the time you take with us, and I know you're busy, and you're on with Nate and Sean and everybody. And we've grown up with you, man. CU grad. You're the ultimate journalist, photojournalist, videographer, sports guy, digital. We're all moving into this new world that we're in, man, and we're trying to adjust to that. And we appreciate you taking a few minutes today to carve it out with us, man, because we love you, bro. We think you do an amazing job, and I have nothing but respect for you. So does Joe. So does number 38. So does Nate. So does Sean George. Everybody here, we love.
Sorry, do you want to hire Alex as maybe your publicist or
get out there and be my agent?
Yeah. He needs to do your negotiations for the Denver Post. Hey, Troy, no show obviously next week, but we'd love to have you on here to talk a little bit about the mandatory OTAs or the mandatory minicamp that takes place this next week. I think it'll be fun to see who isn't there. Is JFM going to be there? We'll ask, but hopefully we can have you on in 2 weeks. And always great to have you on the program.
You got it, guys. You make me feel part of the family. I'll put it on the calendar now. Thanks for having me on.
That's the man, Troy Renck. Follow him on X at Troy Renck. He's the best in the business. All right, when we get back, actually, that's it. We are done for the day here at number 38. I'd like to thank our great producer, Nick Arch, man. Thanks so much for all you do for us, buddy.
Absolutely crushed it today.
Always does. And then, of course, my big left tackle, my man, Alex Ramirez. He is just insane.
Say he fucking killed it today. We can say that.
I got it, man. We're on the internet. We're on the internet, man. You killed it. I killed it. We killed it. Audience, you killed it. All the people at 38 killed it.
Hey,
big shout out to your dad, Miguel Ramirez Jr. Miguel Ramirez Senior. Excuse me, Isaac and Danny. I mean, you know what I'm going to say is this, man. You have an amazing family. Great to share the studio and the bar with them today, man.
They got out there, man.
Hey, man, one of them is mine. It's got my name on it. Hey, man, that is what's happening now. Enjoy your Sunday. We're going to go have some beers here at number 38. Football's coming, and the Broncos are going to be great.
That was the best.